these strengths, you have this this really cool graphic that just came up, the strengths on the bus, which is really cool. And guys, if you want to bring that full screen really quickly, Jan, walk us through what we're looking at here and what it means to us.
As it says, the best teams know, understand how to call out the strength of the people around them. What's your unique contribution and what your team members offer. So when we do this as a team, everybody knows their strengths, and they say, here's what I bring to the dance, but here's what I need from the group.
Yeah.
And so the managers are sitting there watching, oh, I didn't know that Greg really needs time to think, or needs that time, but he brings this wonderful, wonderful good stuff to the dance, right? And so when the managers hear that and see that from their people talking in an honest, open dialogue, magic starts to come together.
Is there something to, not even from a management level, but just we're both team members.
Yeah.
And I know that Jan's good at this and you know that I'm good at this. Does that help us?
Yeah, absolutely.
As well?
I can say, Greg, I'm really good at, PowerPoint. Can I help you with that thing? And you say, yeah, well, when we communicate there, now we've done something, building a relationship, we're building trust amongst each other. And so trust is one of the cornerstones of why organizations really rock.
Yeah.
Is they have a trust for each other in the group or the team.
Yeah, I love that you get the little stop sign there that says everyone has a seat.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone has a role to play.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes, like, I'm in a very startup environment where sometimes I wear 72 hats in a day.
Yeah.
But as your organization grows, like, I want you to be the best in the world at X.
Yeah.
And I want you to be best in the world at Y. And that way, if you're each playing your role, well, then the bus is going to move.
Exactly right.
Right?
Exactly right. And everybody enjoys the ride.
Yeah. Which is really, really powerful. We got another one, guys. Keep this one full screen as well. So we have 4 different boxes here.
Yep.
Talk to me about what these are and what they mean to us.
When you take the Strength Finder survey, you will find that you may have different themes in each one of these different, they're called domains, executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. And you will see that there are different focuses that you have under these. You will not have one and all of them won't be in one. You'll have them spread across.
Right.
But you have some dominant ones that'll come out. For my example, my daughter has a very high woo. Woo is she can get on a bus or get in an elevator, and by the time you get 2 floors up, she'll know your life story. That's her woo. She's the person that sits down next on the airplane. Hey, how are you, Greg? And she builds relationship with people right out of the chute. Right. And so.
So let's put her in a position where she can create relationships for our organization.
I said, I need somebody to go out and talk to strangers who, in a meet and greet.
Yeah, let's get her out of the trade show. Let's get her out of here.
And she does wonderful in that role.
But put her in a different role, right? Where maybe it's the opposite of that.
You put her over here
like
thinking
analytical.
I mean, she's a wonderful writer and those kinds of things, but the other side of it, it's not her. She can do it.
Yeah.
But it takes her time, and it's not as enjoyable as over here.
Right, and even so, you shared yours earlier, so you're the maximizer, and that's the influencing piece as well. And when you're doing that, again, you're firing on all cylinders, and if you're doing something that's polar opposite of that, it's not that you can't do it, but you're not going to be, in that flow state. You're not going to be firing on all cylinders.
Right. For example, I also have individualization and positivity, and I have self-assurance. So I would say to you, Greg, on the first day you come to work with me, Greg, I'm glad to have you here. I'm really pleased to have you on our team. You have any issues, whatever, let me know. Greg, understand this. I'm not going to let you fail. And when I say that to you, that's my self-assurance, my individualization, positivity coming out. And that's actually words I've said to people.
Right.
And so when I say to somebody on day one, I'm not going to let you fail.
That's powerful.
But it's also puts, now I've got to walk the talk, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's also because you found your strengths, it's true.
Yes.
It's not phony baloney. You went to a management seminar last week and you're, reading off the quote cards.
Right, exactly right. It's very, very true. And people recognize that if you're trying to be phony or who you're not, it comes out very quickly. And so when people learn to accept who you're good at or what you're good at and work from that strength, it goes, a lot better for you.
Yeah, exactly. So very powerful. Again, it was the Clifton Strength Finder.
2.0.
And that's what gets you the results for what we're looking at right now today. So make sure you take that next step. We have one more here, the strength domains.
Yes.
And this is kind of taking what we just talked about just a little deeper. So first we have the kind of the thinking domain.
Right, and these are the people like the lady who I said needed time.
Okay.
This is her domain. She needs time to think, help analyze information, get her value. She's innovative, possibility. She gives alternative. She thinks about the future. We could do this a different way, but she needs time for that to come to fruition.
Yeah.
What she needs from you is knowledge of the vision. Why are we here? and with freedom to think, imagine, what, and why. Those are all time-bound.
Yeah.
I need time for that to occur.
Right. And so if you need her to reply to emails in 18 seconds, and she's got text going off, and she's got Slack open, and she's got like,
It doesn't work.
and she's not going to, you're not
No.
putting her in a place to succeed.
Correct. Right. Absolutely right. You want to switch seats? You can do it.
Hey, I'm just picking up what you're putting down. So we have this thinker, right? And so the next thing that we have in the strength domains is the executor.
Right. They know how to organize, meet a goal, make things happen. They're the people who can say, take that idea that she can think of and say,
Right.
here's how we can make this work. This is how we can actually get it done by 5 o'clock.
Right.
Right. And so
Yeah.
these people, when you put them together, this person can do what this person can think of.
Right.
I get things done, reality, goals, process, they're loyal, and they have step. They need practical step by step and freedom
Yeah.
to complete. And they will execute. They will get it done.
So give them the IKEA furniture, and they will put it together for you.
Exactly right. You nail it.
Yeah.
And they will get it done. They'll spend all night. The stamina comes out, and they'll spend all night putting, the kids' bicycle together.
Exactly.
Christmas Eve.
Which the world needs a lot of, right? Because, you have the thinker, you have this person who's now executing on these ideas. You have the third strength domain here, which is relationships.
They know how to build strong relationships, and they can hold a team together and make it better than the sum of their part. They're good at connecting, inviting, listening, accepting, building, and they're fun to work with. They need authenticity, relationships, encouragement, non-judgmental values, and so forth. I have a sister-in-law who is primarily in this domain,
Okay.
and empathy is one of her top strengths. And I mean, she does. Her worst day is having to fire somebody, and
Right.
and because that is just not her. But she has to do it. She doesn't. Nobody enjoys it. But I mean, it's next to. She'd rather go to the dentist than have to do that.
Right.
But she always comes to party or family functions. And says, "How are you? Is everything going well?" She's
Yeah.
the first one to be there to help set up those kinds of things. That's her empathy and side coming out.
Yeah, and we need those people on the team too.
Yeah, because they're the ones that go behind you and say, Greg's a great guy. When we get to know him, he's really going to make this thing better. They're pulling it together, the team together for you behind the scenes.
And then we got the fourth piece, which is the influencer.
Right. They know how to make charge, speak up, and make sure things, the team is heard. Conviction, igniting, enrolling, energizing. If nobody else makes a decision, they'll say, this meeting should be starting now.
Yeah,
Right.
let's get it going.
Let's
Yeah.
get it going. And so they will drive the agenda if you don't. They need verbal processing, a connection with a cause. Why are we here? And when they connect with that cause and they say, we're going to get this done. We believe in this. And they will drive, because of the influence they have with the group, they can drive a group forward.
I want to talk a little bit about this, and we're going to spend a second on this. Is one necessarily
No.
better than another?
No.
So talk to me about how that works.
Okay. I have nothing over here in this thinking domain.
You don't. This is you, yeah.
Yeah, and nothing there. And my last corporate role, I was in an area that required a lot of this. We were thinking 18 months out. I go into meetings with my boss, and he could draw on a wall from a blank board, and he can make this beautiful plan out. And I'm sitting there, I said, I got nothing.
Because you're thinking about today and tomorrow.
Because I can execute and I can influence.
Right.
At the end of it, I would say to Eric, I said, Eric, here's how we can make it better, and this is how we can make it work. And he said, that's why you're in the room.
Yeah.
Because I was the only one in his team who could do what all the other people
Right,
couldn't do.
so he would dream it up on the board, and then you were the guy that said, all right, here's step by step. Here's what we're doing tomorrow. Here's what we're doing next week. Here's the team I
Here's
need.
how to make a meeting. Here's the people we have to get on
Yeah.
our side, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So nobody cared that I wasn't good at one aspect of it. Nobody could care less.
Yeah.
And you worked from what I was good at, and that was why I was in the room, because they recognized I had what nobody else could do.
Yeah, and again, it's putting the pieces together, right? It's the puzzle. It's the jigsaw puzzle. Like Tesla doesn't need 4,000 Elon Musks running around.
Right.
They need Elon Musk to be the thinker, but now I need a lot of people
Build it with the
implementing
executed,
and influencing and
influencing,
networking on that whole side, right? Is that
correct?
And so, does this happen in the hiring stage? Does this happen in the developmental stage? Where does this happen for
It
organizations?
starts at all levels. When hiring, I'd look at my team, let's just say I had 10 people, but I didn't have a thinker. I had people who executed, I had people who could do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But I have nobody over here.
Right.
I want somebody over from that box. So when I'm interviewing, I'm looking for people who have a skill sets, and by the questions I ask them through the behavioral-based interviewing piece of, if you have this, and if you can do that, now you have value not only to me, but to the team.
Yeah. So I see it when you need a role, right? what if I already got people in place and they're in the wrong place? So there's two
Yeah.
pieces of it, right?
Right.
I got 100 employees and 30 of them are in the wrong place. If I'm just starting, now I can have people take the test as I'm hiring to make sure I, get my salespeople, they have the right strengths, my engineers have the right strengths, but I already got some people.
I know, and I've been in that role, and so you take and you figure out what they're good at, and you say, how can we either modify their job function, and sometimes you can't, but if they're aware, then you say, can I get help from Greg? Can I get help from Dan? Somebody else to help me in this particular role. So we look for people that can support you. I'm not about firing people. If we can't, some people, they're just in the wrong job.
Right.
It's called job fit. And you try to find another role for them in the organization, but sometimes that's just not possible. And so then they're, unfortunately, they're let go, but it's not because they're bad people. It's because
I'm not going to allow you can't succeed in the roles that I have for you.
Right, and so exactly, and so tell me that up front, and it says, Jen, this world isn't really for you because of, whatever it is, and if I know my own strengths, I can recognize that.
Yeah,
right.
Very, very.
And people will respond to that. They'll say, I love being with you, Greg, but this is just not an organization for me.
Right.
Right.
So for someone who hasn't actually been playing to their strengths, they've been tasked with things where they're making you think, and you're like, oh man, I'm not a thinker. I want to execute. I'm not the thinker.
Right.
How do I help you to now regain your strengths? So we found a role for you. Now you're going to be my executor, my implementer, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
How do I, as a manager, help you to see your strengths? I guess it goes back to some of what we talked about earlier, the what you want and the expectations. But how do I actually guide you?
I would say to you, when you come in the morning, I'd say, Greg, what's your best day at work look like? What are you doing best? What do you enjoy doing best? And then you say, I really like this filming thing. I know it's long days, but man, the day flies by for me. I really enjoy that. And so, okay, we're going to see if I can have more time for you doing this particular function. So over the course of time, we start molding the job just a little bit differently, so you're playing more time to your strengths. And you start looking for people with those strengths and saying, you're really good at that. Let you have more time doing this piece. And so we start rewriting job descriptions, if you will, over the course of time, that people are now working from their strengths perspective.
Powerful question. I'm going to repeat it because I think this is an exercise that you can probably do with your team. This is an exercise you can do tomorrow at the morning meeting, next week when you bring everybody together. Make your team write down the answer to what's your best day of work look like. Have them describe it. When do they come in? What are they working on? What projects are they doing? What does their task list look like? And then maybe even a not to do list. What do they not? What does my worst day of work look like? And it's for that the woman you were describing earlier. It's the emails and the fires and the constant this. It probably drives her crazy. But what does your best day look like? Thinking, sitting back, organizing, whatever it is.
Yeah. And when people will tell you that, well, then how do I let you do more of that? Because you're already doing it in some portion of your role already, right?
Yeah.
And the other portion of it is catching people doing it well. And when I catch you doing it well, you want to do more of it. Because I come out and say, great job. You're knocking it out of the park, with the filming. And so you say, wow, I got recognition and he knows I'm doing a great job at this.
Yeah.
I like that. I think I want to do more. So positive feedback grows, negative feedback stifles.
Ooh, I like that.
And it's that is 50 years old at data. And as I tell people when I work in organizations, if your organizations are not giving positive feedback to your people, your organization is going nowhere because positive feedback grows, negative feedback stifles.
So as we're starting to wrap up here, and we're going to get to some live questions from you guys in just a second. Give me a story. Give me someone that you've worked with. Give me a cool organization that you came in and they really weren't playing to their strengths, where you saw that management had put people in the wrong roles. Maybe they grew too fast, so they were just hiring, left and right. I mean, there's times, right, where you're just like, grab a warm body, go man the phones. But give me a story of someone that you've really helped. They've identified this. They saw these different strength domains. They saw the stuff on the last slide, and you've helped them to really grow. That's not named Google or Facebook or Accenture or any of those fun guys.
Numerous years ago, I was asked to relocate to Virginia and to take over a struggling business unit of the state of Virginia and surrounding geography. And when I took this assignment, I was asked to do it, and my then boss, he said, oh, by the way, when you get there, fire Mike. And because Mike's the problem child. Fire Mike.
Yeah.
And so I followed.
Thanks, boss. Great first day. Yeah.
Exactly. And being my self-assurance is there, I said, okay, boss, but I never fired Mike. Because I have confidence in myself that I want to know what's going on with Mike. So when I first got there, he was one of the first people I met. And I sat down and I said, let's you and I go to breakfast. And we talked for 2 hours. And he had not gotten along with the previous manager, and the previous manager said this would all be better if Mike wasn't here. But anyway, so in talking to Mike, he said, here's how I work best. And he wouldn't let me do it my way. He wouldn't let, and I said, well, of course, Victoria said, Mike, do it your way. And, and I said, here's, the Sandboxer playing in,
right.
You're allowed. 18 months later, he was having a beer with the guy who told me to fire him, and we were the #1 performing business unit in there.
Wow.
So it was just talking to people.
Just having a real conversation.
Right, yeah. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you value. Tell me. And we just talked it through. And he afterwards, he used to say to me, thank you.
Yeah.
And so there's an example of real world where you do it.
It's powerful when you can identify those strengths. You can have that conversation about what does your best day look like.
Right.
And then what do you want?
Right.
And then setting expectations. Like
Right.
you gave him a sandbox, right? You can't go completely out in left field,
Right, yeah.
But here's the sandbox. Do what you need to do to be successful. And it's amazing when you empower people.
Exactly.
It's empowering them rather than shackling them and chaining them.
Right. And then one of the side stories of that is that's exactly right, because he said, you mean I don't have to come to you for permission to do this? I said, no, you're in charge of it. You don't have permission from me to do that function.
Yeah.
And that was like a weight off his shoulders.
Yeah.
To your point, he was empowered. I could let him, he could fail with impunity. He didn't have to call me and say, I screwed this up, but he could fix it. So, yeah.
That's really, really cool. Now, I know there's a lot of folks watching right now, whether they're an organization, whether they're a manager themselves, they have a team. How can they work with you? In what capacity do you come in to help them do the things that we've talked about here today?
Strength-based leadership. They can get me through my email.
Yep.
They can email me directly, or they can go to my website, strengthbasedleadership.net, and they can leave me a message there, and I will get back to them, and we'll talk about what's going on in their world, be it small team, large team. I work with for-profits, nonprofits, individuals, small groups, pretty much the whole gamut.
Yeah.
And so we set up what it is that I sit with the leaders of that group, that organization, and we talk it through and what's going on, try to figure out why it's going on, and then they work up a plan, and we work up for each people to figure out what their strengths are and work from their strengths.
Yeah, which is what we want. And if you are watching this right now and you want to be the type of organization that doesn't just talk about having a great team and being there for your people, but you actually want to live it, you want to breathe it, you want to get your team members firing, you want them in that flow state, you want them performing at their best so that you can grow your organization, Jan is the guy that you need to start working with. Please visit strengthbasedleadership.net. See how you can bring him in. Get that conversation started. Just get your toes wet and see the difference that it can make. And then once you start utilizing this stuff, once you see how Jan helps you to set expectations, once you start to see what you want from your employees, what the employees expect of your leadership team and your management team, and the results that you're going to get, your organization could look like Google. It could look like Facebook, even if you're not out in Silicon Valley. This is what he does. Reach out, send him an email and say, hey, Jan, here's what we got going on. Here's what we want to do. Here's what we want to accomplish. You'll reach out to them.
Absolutely.
You'll walk them through that process and how you can do that. But it starts with you doing something about it now. If you, this morning, you had your team meeting and you talked about being for the people, you put out a press release, you say, we're one of the top companies in this area to work with, but you're losing people. You're losing good talent to competitors. You're losing good talent to other organizations that should be staying with you. Now is the time to do something about it. Now is the time to make a change, to make a difference, to be the manager, to be the company that has the managers that people do not want to leave. Starts with you taking action today. And if nothing else, brand new book today. New book, my friend.
I know.
Not too bad.
Excited about it.
Cracking the Code to Success. Jan's in it. Brian Tracy's in it. Some other amazing experts are teaching you how to crack your own code to success. Head on over to Amazon.com. Grab a copy. Just came out today, hot off the press. These guys did all the hard work. Amazon's going to do the easy work of getting it delivered to you. My friend, this has been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
A lot
Absolutely.
of good stuff. Hope people take you up on everything that we talked about. They become the company. They become the manager that people don't want to leave.
Thank you for the time.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend.
Right. Thank you.
Good.